Hi there, and thank you very much for watching this video. I do hope that you'll be able to subscribe and like this video after watching the contents in this video. And the name of this channel is the Easy B-flat-F-C A-C-sharp-F wide chord chromatic guitar. And in this channel I hope to be able to teach just that. So this channel is dedicated just purely and simply to the teaching of that guitar tuning. So why, you might want to ask, is there a need to create this new tuning, which is the B-flat F-C A-C-sharp-F tuning, when there is already a perfectly wonderful tuning, which is the standard tuning of E-A-D-G-B-E? Well, just to say that I do love the E-A-D-G-B-E standard tuning, and I do play that, but I do play that on my smaller guitar. But if I were to play the standard tuning on this guitar, then I'd find the actual chords far too wide to be able to play them comfortably for a sustained period of time. So I'll just demonstrate what I mean by that. So here I have my half-sized guitar, and I'll just show you the chords and the fret widths that I'll need to stretch in order to play the chords on this guitar. So that is a 2 frets width. And that is a 3 frets width, and that is a 4 frets width, and that is a 3 frets width, and that is a 4 frets width, and that is a 4 frets width, and that is a 3 frets width, and that is a 2 frets width. And now I'll just demonstrate the equivalent chords on this full-size guitar. And that is a 2 frets width, and that is a 2 frets width, and that is a 3 frets width, and that is a 2 frets width, and that is a 3 frets width, and that is a 3 frets width, and that is a 2 frets width, and that is a 2 frets width. So what I find generally is that these slight differences in 1 or 2 frets distances between this tuning and the standard tuning when playing short pieces doesn't really matter, but when I'm playing for a prolonged period of time, let's say a half an hour stretch, then I do find that with these slightly smaller distances to stretch, and I find that it's less tiring on the hand in order to play this tuning rather than playing the standard tuning on this full-sized guitar. And another benefit of this tuning is that it allows one to play wide chords on the guitar. And what I mean by that is that it allows us to play major and minor chords with all 6 strings or 5 strings playing the same harmony. So I'll just demonstrate that now. So here I have the chord of F major, and that is being played on all 6 strings, the 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. And likewise, here we have the chord of F minor, the 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. And a different position, here we have the chord of C major, and it's being played on the top 5 strings. 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, and the chord of C minor, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. And Another benefit is that this tuning has a slightly wider pitch range than that of a standard guitar tuning, the EADGBE tuning. And I'll just demonstrate that now. So here we have the very bottom note, which is B flat 1. And that is the B flat, which is just a diminished fourth interval below the bottom E of a standard guitar. And the top open string is this one, which is the F4, which is just one semitone above the top open string of a standard tuning. That I also find, which is so amazing about this tuning, is that because it allows us to play all these big wide chords with such small fret width intervals and such small stretches, which are normally 2 or 3 fret widths distance apart for each chord, then one can play all kinds of chromatic harmonies for a long and sustained period of time. So this is the chord of C major, and then B major, and then B flat major, and then A major, and then A flat major, and then G major. And then going the other way, we have the chord of C sharp major, and D major, and E flat major, and E major, and F major, and F sharp major. And likewise for the minor keys, the C minor, and then B minor, and so on. And one could do the same for the extra wide chords with all 6 strings playing at the same time, like that. This is F major, and this is E major, and this is E flat major. And we just go for the minor now. So this is the D minor, and this is the C sharp minor, and this is the C minor. So just a bit of background history about this tuning. It was invented by myself only within the last 2 weeks, and it was developed from the FGC 3 tuning, which consisted of the tuning of the notes of F, G, C, E, A flat, and E, which I invented around the year 2016. And the benefit of these tunings is, as I demonstrated earlier on, is that it allows for a slightly smaller fret width of the chord, so that one can play chromatic music on the guitar for a much longer period of time without any tiredness. So without any further ado, let's begin learning how to play this guitar tuning. So the first thing we need to do is to tune up this guitar. So the very bottom note is the B flat 1, which is a diminished fourth below the E2 of the bottom string of a standard tuning. Just to say that all these strings use the same strings as a standard tuning. So that is the B flat 1, and the 5th string is an F2, which is a major third below the A2 of the 5th string of a standard tuning. So first of all, I would tune a perfect 5th between the bottom 2 notes, and then the 4th string is a C3, which is a major 2nd below the D3 of the 4th string of a standard tuning. And then I would tune a perfect 5th between the 5th string and the 4th strings. And then the 3rd string, A3, which is a major 2nd above the G3 of the 3rd string of a standard tuning. So I would tune a major 6th between the 4th string and the 3rd strings. And the 2nd string is a C sharp 4, which is a major 2nd above the B3 of the 2nd string of a standard tuning. So therefore, between the 3rd and the 2nd strings, that is a major 3rd. And then the top string is an F4, which is a minor 2nd, or a semitone above the E4 of the top string of a standard tuning. So for that, I would tune a major 3rd between the 2nd and the top strings. So that is the tuning of the B flat, F, C, A, C sharp, F guitar tuning. So let's learn our first song. So it'll be the first verse of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So I'll just demonstrate it first. So that is what we'll learn to play in this lesson. And in order to learn the correct frets and the correct fingering and the correct chords, what I've done is that I've devised a special notation system in order to make that learning easier. So our very first chord in this piece of music that we're about to learn is this one. And its notation in this special notation system that we've devised is this. It's C5, big L, 2A, 3A, 4, exclamation mark, B5, 2, 2. And that is subdivided into several parts. So the first part is C5. So what that means is that as regards the very top note on the top string, it's a C5, which is this note here on the top string. So that is the position of where the chord is located. Because if you remember, as regards the very top string, the open string is an F4, so that is F sharp 4, and then G4, A flat 4, A4, B flat 4, B4, and then C5. So that is our position. And then the next letter after that, it's the big L. So the big L means that all 6 strings of the guitar should sound. So this is a chord that spans across all 6 strings. And then after that we have the number 2. And what that means is that that note, the top note on the top string, is to be played by the finger number 2, which is the index finger. And why the index finger is number 2 as opposed to number 1 is that sometimes, on a very rare occasion, we might need to use our thumb in order to hold the string down, in which case we would need the number 1 for the thumb. So as regards that number 2, that is the index finger on the C5, which is there. So that is the top string. And then next one down, we have the A3, which is the next string down. So that is to be played with the middle finger. And the reason why it has the A before that is that that indicates that that needs to be played 1 fret higher up towards the saddle from the marker or the position note, which is the C5. So it's that fret there. And then next one along we have the A4, which is the next string down, which is to be played with the 4th finger, which is to be played with the finger number 4, which is the ring finger. And once again, it is prefixed by the letter A to indicate that it needs to be played 1 fret higher up towards the saddle from the starting fret. So it needs to be like that. And then the reason why there are 2 exclamation marks there indicates that that is the melodic note, which needs to be played twice. So that is the melodic note, and it needs to be played twice. And then next one along is the B5, so that indicates that the next string down is to be played with the 5th finger, finger number 5, which is the last finger, that one there. And it's prefixed with the letter B, which means that it's to be played 2 frets higher up from the starting fret towards the saddle. So it's that fret there, to be played with the finger number 5, that one there. And then next one along we have the number 2. So what that means is that that fret, which is on the 5th string, needs to be played with the finger number 2, the index finger. So what that means is that that index finger needs to sit across the fret like that, so that it plays the top string and the 5th string as well, like that. And then the last number is the number 2. Once again, similarly, that needs to be played with the index finger as well. So we have that chord like that. So that is a chord of C5, big L, 2, A3, A4, exclamation mark, B522. So I'll just play the two exclamation marks, so it sounds like this. So what I'm doing now is that I'm using finger plucking technique in order to make the note on the third string, which is the A4, sound louder than all the other notes in that chord. So that is our first chord. So next one down, our second chord is exactly the same, but instead of the two exclamation marks being after the A4, it's just after the first number 2. So what that means is that the melodic line has shifted to the index finger, which is on the top string. So that needs to be played louder than all the other notes in that chord, like that. Okay, so let's play those two chords together. So the first one is this, and the next one is that. And I'll just repeat that. So now on to the third chord. It's the D5, W3, exclamation mark, 4, Z2, A5. So what that means is that the starting fret, which is on the top string, needs to be on the note, on the pitch D5, which is just one tone or two semitones higher up, 2 frets up, which is that one there. So that's the D5. And the next letter along is the W, indicates that it's to be played on the top 4 strings. So whenever one sees the letter W, what that means is that that indicates 4 adjacent strings that are to be played in the same chord. And the next symbol across, it's the number 3. So what that means is that on the D5, on the top string, it's to be played with the middle finger, like that. And exclamation mark means that it's to be played twice. And then after that, we have 4. So what that means is that the next string down, which is on the same fret, is to be played with the 4th finger, like that. And then next one along that, we have Z2. So what that means is that on the next string down, we need to use the index finger, finger number 2, to play the fret, which is 1 fret towards the nut, 1 fret lower down, which is towards the nut, which is that one there. So this note here, it's the Z2, and then next one along we have the A5, which means that we need to play on the next string down 1 fret higher up towards the saddle from the starting fret with the 5th finger, which is that. So the chord sounds like this. So it's just 4 strings, the top 4 strings, as represented by the letter W, and the actual top note, which is played by the finger number 3, the middle finger, needs to be played twice. So let's start from the beginning and play those 3 chords, so it sounds like this. And now on to the 4th chord, it's C5, M, apostrophe, I3, exclamation mark, 5, 4, 2. So what that means is that the starting fret, it's C5. So we're back to C5, which is this one. And then the M, apostrophe I, means that it's to be played on 3 adjacent strings, and then followed by a gap and another gap, and then a single string, which is the bottom string. So it's the top 3 strings, and then the bottom string. And so the top string is to be played with the middle finger, number 3, and it's to be played just once because there's just 1 exclamation mark. And then after that we have A5, which means that the next string down we need to move 1 fret up towards the saddle and play that with the fifth finger like that. And play that with the fifth finger like that. And the next one along, it's A4. So once again, it's one fret up from the starting fret to be played with the ring finger like that. And then the very last symbol, the very last number is number 2, which means that it's on the bottom string, and because there isn't a letter prefixing that, it's to be played on the same fret as the starting fret, which is C5. So with the index finger on the bottom string, it sounds like that. So let's play that chord. So let's start again from the beginning. It sounds like this. And now on to the fifth chord. It's B flat. So when it says BB, that means B flat. For MI, 2, exclamation mark, A3, B4, B5. And what that means is that with the B flat 4, that means that the starting fret is the B flat 4, which is 2 frets down from the previous, which is this fret there. And the MI, without a gap, means that it's to be played with 3 adjacent strings, and then a gap of 1 string, and then a single string. So that means that it's the top 3 strings, and then the 5th string. Because if it were 4 adjacent strings, then that would be represented by a W. So moving on to the number 2, that means that as regards the top string, that needs to be played with the finger number 2, which is the index finger, and that is to be played twice. And the next one along, it's A3, which means the next string down, it's 1 fret up from the starting fret to be played with the middle finger. And the next one down, it's B4, which means it's 2 frets further up from the starting fret to be played with the ring finger. And then, as regards the last note, it's B5, which means that it's to be played 2 frets up from the starting fret with the last finger like that. So the whole chord sounds like that. So let's start again from the beginning. It sounds like this. So moving now on to the 6th chord, it's apostrophe A, 4, big I, 4, exclamation mark, 3A, 5, Z2, Z2. So what that means, first of all, if we just take the apostrophe A4, means that the apostrophe represents a string. So that is the top string, so the apostrophe 4 means that the A4 is to be played on the 2nd string, because we miss out the 1st string. So to find the A4 on the 2nd string, remember that the open string on the 2nd string is the C sharp 4, so that is the 1st fret is D4, and then E flat 4, E4, F4, and then F sharp 4, and then G 4, and then A flat 4, and then we have the A4, which is this one. So it's apostrophe A4, I. So I means that it's to be played over 5 adjacent strings. So this chord needs to be played on the bottom 5 strings. And the next one along, it's 4, which means that that particular fret on that 2nd string needs to be played with the ring finger, finger number 4. And because there's just 1 exclamation mark, it's to be played just once. And then next string down, it's 3. So that means that on that same fret, because there isn't a letter prefix to 3, it needs to be played with the middle finger. And the next string down, it's A5, which means that 1 fret upwards towards the saddle from the starting fret needs to be played with the 5th finger. And the next one down is Z2. which means that one fret up or one fret down towards the nut from the starting fret needs to be played with the index finger, and then which is Z2. The last two symbols, which is Z2, means that on the bottom string it needs to be played one fret up from the starting fret with the index finger again, so like that. So the whole chord sounds like this. So let's start again from the beginning. It sounds like this. And now onto the 7th chord. It's exactly the same, except that the exclamation mark is now after the A5. So what that means is that the note A5 now needs to be played louder than all the other notes in the chord, like that. Therefore the preceding chord was this, and the 7th chord is now this. So it's just basically the same chord, but the difference being that with the previous chord, the top note is louder than all the other notes, whereas on the second chord, the second note is louder than the others. So it sounds like this. And now moving on to the next chord, which is the 9th chord, we have apostrophe G4, W2, exclamation mark, A5, A4, A3. So as regards the apostrophe G4, what that means is that we skip out the top string and we play the G4 on the second string. So the G4 is just 2 frets from the starting fret of the previous chord, which is this fret here. So that is G4, and the W means that it needs to be played across 4 adjacent strings. So it's these 4 strings there. And next one along we have the 2 exclamation mark. So the 2 means that that G4, the top note of that chord, is to be played with the index finger. The exclamation mark means that it's to be played just once. And then next one along we have the A5, which means that as regards the next string down, that needs to be played 1 fret up from the starting fret with the 5th finger. And then next one along, the next string down is A4, which is the same fret as previous but with the ring finger. And then next one along we have the A3, which is just 1 string down to be played with the middle finger on the 3rd fret, like that. So the whole chord sounds like that. And then after that we have the same chord again, but the exclamation mark is now after the A5, which means that instead of the top note being the loudest, the second top note needs to be the loudest. So it sounds like this. So I'll just repeat that. The previous chord was this, and the current chord is now like this. So that is what we call finger plucking technique. And now for the very last chord, we have apostrophe A4, big I, 4, 3, exclamation mark, A5, Z2, Z2. And what that means is that with the apostrophe A4, we skip the top string, we play the A4 fret on the second string. So the A4 fret is this one here on the second string. And then we have the big I. So what that means is that that needs to be played across 5 adjacent strings, which are the 5 bottom strings, which are these. And then next one along we have the number 4, which means that as regards the top note in that chord, it needs to be played with the 4th finger, the ring finger. And the next one down we have the number 3, which means that on the same fret, but on the next string down, it needs to be played with the middle finger. And then because we have 1 exclamation mark after that, that needs to be played just once. And then after that we have A5, which means that we need to move up 1 fret upwards from the starting fret towards the saddle and play that with the last finger, which is that. And the next one along we have Z2, which means that the next string down, we need to play 1 fret upwards towards the nut from the starting fret and play that with the index finger. And then as regards Z2 at the end, we need to do the same on the same fret with the same finger, like that. So this is what the chord sounds like. So I'll just play those chords once again from the beginning. So that is about it for now. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that this has been useful and informative and enjoyable. Please do leave a like or subscribe to this channel, and please do share with your friends and family as well. So until next time, I wish you all happy guitar playing.